So here we are in Republic of Rome, and not a lot's changed. Sempronius, I mean, nothing since the last time really, except I doled out the income. But Sempronius is sitting in Africa, in revolt, that has prevented prior revolters from claiming. However, that would be fairly easy to knock out. We also have the dictator, or former dictator, Julius, fighting the Spanish, or positioned to fight the Spanish revolt. He can be allowed to stay there as a proconsul. He moved there as his follow-up. However, we have this nasty Gallic war with Cisalpine Gaul as a part of it. Much more troublesome, not the invasion of Germany, we can ignore that, but the Cilician pirates, which has a matching card in this remaining deck. And that, if that comes out, then we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wars in total. So Rome has to defeat 2 to stay above water. If that doesn't come out, or no other wars come out, of course Rome's safe right now, and they can take them on one at a time. I think they'd probably be better off taking out a pair of wars anyway. But the Gallic War is going to be troublesome to take out. It's the one that's most important, but I don't know what to possibly use against that. Sempronius should be fairly easy. He doesn't have a large force. He still hasn't improved Africa, so that's all he's going to have there. Other than that, we also have the risk, as we always do. If Julius wins his battle, he comes back with a lot of influence. Of course, if he's withdrawn, then we have to send one of the consuls, or perhaps a dictator. We do have enough wars still to maintain a dictator. One big issue, Roman treasury. It's beginning to look, not dire, but a little bit more frightening. At the beginning of all this stuff, it was breaking that 500 mark pretty easily. And now we're not even at 200 after the income, with all the wars, with all the constantly building up armies, with all those provinces that they didn't own. It definitely was draining things. Over here, well, we see Flaminius, who won't be coming back this turn probably, but maybe next turn he'll be in danger. Furious, same situation. He's already at the 21 limit. So we've got a lot of risks on the horizon that have built up over time. One can hope, most of these are old men who only get one turn. One hopes that maybe they don't have, one of these tribunes or something, or that they can be handled. But right now, it's not clear. And Rome is definitely teetering in many directions. We see the unrest way up there. Somebody's got to throw games. The Rome Council has a pile of money. He's going to be able to. But he only has 3 popularity as it is. That's going to go up to 6. So other people should probably be doing so if we want to get this down. All right. Well, let's see what happens. So entering, it's for the drought, Rome's Senate phase. Not much has changed, but one big thing, which means Rome has to win one of their wars, the Mithridatic War, has shown up. I think Rome can probably handle the Sertorian. This one's going to be attacking Bithynia Pontus. That's not ours yet. Syria, Greece. Greece might be a problem. The Gallic War is going to be hitting Narbonese Gaul next. And meanwhile, we would like to get rid of Sempronius, because getting rid of him for whoever's currently in power means that they have the option to become the rebel and maybe take advantage of the fact that Rome is teetering. Of course, those who aren't going to be in power would rather not see that happen. So I doubt that any of the coalitions are big enough to really force a war over on Sempronius. So he may be allowed to just last there. So indeed, Sempronius is being left alone in Africa. However, let's see, Servilius, who's also been given Narbonese Gaul, is the proconsul He's been given actually a bit of a increase to handle the Sertorian revolt. Some of the troops were pulled out of Pompeius to be given to fight that. The Mithridaic War is being attacked by Marius, who is our dictator. The Gallic War is being ignored. Sempronius is being ignored. And I guess we'll see if Rome succeeds. They should be able to get rid of one of these 4 wars. If they can't, they lose. Well, Sempronius wins. So it's largely success all around. Rome defeated both wars, the Mithridatic and the Sertorian revolt. The Gallic War grew into Narbonese Gaul. It's going to just keep growing. It's next to Transalpine, but that's actually not a problem. Because Transalpine Gaul has not been created yet. In fact, victory with this creates Transalpine Gaul. So as things stand, the dictator's moved his forces into place. He doesn't need the fleets there to face this. And he's going to try to improve his position. To a large extent, this is a try to get as important as you can. One person who did become pretty important, though, out of this was good old Servilius, who's up to 23 influence and 12 popularity. And he's home. And maybe going to be a play for things in this next turn. At the same time, Sempronius is still here, wasting away off in Africa. Well, the death chit for the turn got rid of Servilius. He was replaced by Valerius because of Rome being underpopulated, as it were. But that gets rid of one of the many threats facing Rome right now. We still have Furius sitting over here, who's gone up to 21 influence. He's got a chance to do something, and if they have a tribune, which they do, they're going to dump cash on they're going to dump cash on Furius. A lot of cash. See if they can win it here. Again, chances are unlikely. Not sure anybody even noticed that value increase. But that's kind of a weird situation, except for one thing. So if Flaminius were not dying this turn, well, and Furious as well. So if it weren't for my little weird rules, players would be hoarding their influence at this point. Because when the deck runs out, it's whoever has the most influence in Rome. What that's really going to mean is whoever ends up with the right aging mix, which is kind of tricky, but might see if we make it through another turn or two. There's still a decent amount of cards left here. More than one turn's worth. People starting to really work towards that. But at this point, it's just too early. These leaders who are already high up have a lot of years behind them, so they're not going to be around by the end of the deck. They've got to make their stab now, or try to, set up a better situation in the future. That better situation doesn't look likely, so they'll do what they can do. We slip to the Senate phase again, and once again, Rome is facing 4 active wars. Gladiatorial Slave Revolt, Second Mithridaic War, of course the ever-growing Gallic War here, and our rebellion. What can they do? Well, they have to wipe one out. They're in position to fight one. Of course, they might recall that because they're left with a dictator who will be frightening. Well, he'll be an ex-dictator, but he'll be frightening if he prosecutes that. Also left with the danger. Furious could end the game right here. He's got, 100 and something balance on him. And, he's obviously making his shot. All right. So, here we are in the Senate phase. in the midst of the Senate phase. Furious attempted to tribune in. His tribune was murdered by none other than the Pontifex Maximus, who then managed to suffer some popularity loss due to the suspicion. He's down. This is the second time he's done this. He's down to -5. Finally, they settled on, and the consuls who were elected, Calpurnius and Octavius, settled on none other than Julius, putting him up to 22. He tried to remember what he was trying to propose a military solution of some sort or another, and got voted down and lost a point of influence, dropping him to 21. Realizing he was at 21, he said, "The hell with it. I'm going to declare myself consul for life." You notice he has a governorship, but he's also the dictator. That's the one law that allows you to do that. Well, he forced Furious to vote first, and Furious threw about $30 of votes in, etc. But by the time we get to the last vote, it only took $21, which he has on his faction, to pass the law. Everybody else who had vote money, other than this guy, threw their cash in. Why did he not throw in enough? Maybe he was hoping for an assassin to work or something. The Pontifex Maximus went for another assassination this time. This time, against Julius. It failed. No great harm to it. But now the game is over. It's just a question of who won. So there are two options. Either Sempronius wins or Julius wins. And now Julius has a free hand. He doesn't have to worry about these wars. All he has to do is defeat Sempronius. So he's going to recall Marius, sorry. And he's going to launch his entire army and the fleet against Sempronius. Now, he already committed this force against God knows what. I don't remember where that's not committed anywhere, is it? Trying to remember here. Yeah, I believe that was committed against the gladiatorial slave revolt. At kind of low odds. That we're going to go forward with, but destroying Sempronius should be simple enough. Alright, well, we'll see. I believe Julius has just won, but it is possible that Sempronius could win here. Alright. So Octavius' force was wiped out. He wasn't killed. I don't know if he actually dies or not because his entire force was wiped out. I'm not going to look that up right now. It's not important. Sempronius was defeated. Julius is now consul for life, maybe emperor, whatever. And this game is over. Now, did it have to end this way? Obviously not. Furious could have stopped it from happening by paying more. I think he made a misjudgment. Well, here we see somebody else who could have stopped it, who didn't, and who went for the assassination route instead. Could he have? Yeah, there's not enough cash here to have swung the vote. So two players kind of handled the situation in terms of where the cash was, etc. You know, I am very fatigued with the game, which may be a big part of it. I want it done tonight. I want to clean it up, and I want to do my talk. So, you know, when you get a bunch of people playing it, a lot of times that fatigue sets in too after this long. So I can't complain too much. Anyway, I think we got to exercise a lot of the game. Maybe the finish was a little cheap, but, you know, I was probably hoping Furious would end up getting the dictator or getting the consul for life position, and he was halted. It wasn't a foregone thing, but yeah, my fatigue in this probably made it more likely that I would not take the threat so seriously for Julius here. So he pulled off his victory. What would have happened had he not? I don't know. You know, chances are we just continue in this current vein and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 2 more terms. And how many wars do we have? 1, 2, 3 more wars, so Rome might have fallen. I don't know. Of course, Rome falling would mean this, but this guy was going to lose anyhow. Or he was in a weird position because he's dying. Now he could make his heir a rebel or something, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, again, when you start playing with the roles the way I have, these things become a little weird, and I gotta make these spot decisions like I do in some other games. Alright, I'll be back with a review of the whole thing in a little bit.